Okay, we are going to do the 2014 AMC 12B problem 20. For how many positive integers x is log base 10 of x minus 40 plus log base 10 of 60 minus x less than 2? Now naturally when you see two logarithms with the same base being added, your first instinct is to multiply the insides together. But before we do that, we have to be careful that we're using the right domain. Because we have x minus 40 here and the logarithm can only take positive arguments, we know that x has to be greater than 40. And similarly, when we have 60 minus x here, we know 60 minus x also has to be greater than 0, which means that x must be less than 60. So these are the two conditions that we have before we start doing any multiplication. Now let's get into solving this equation. So first of all, again, we can multiply the insides here because the logs have the same base. So we get log base 10 of x minus 40 times 60 minus x is less than 2. And then we can take 10 to the power of each side. This will cancel out the logarithm. So on this side we get x minus 40 times 60 minus x. Now if we expand this out, what we get is x times minus x will be minus x squared. And then we have 60 times x and then negative 40 times negative x. So we have 60x and then plus 40x, which will be plus 100x. And then finally we have 60 times negative 40, which will be minus 2400. And then this is less than 10 squared is 100. So let's move this 100 to the other side. We get negative x squared plus 100x minus 2500 is less than 0. And just so that this x squared coefficient is positive, let's multiply by negative 1 on both sides. So we get x squared minus 100x plus 2500. And when we multiply by negative 1, we flip the inequality, so we get greater than 0. Now from here, if we want to find when this is greater than 0, we want to factor this here. What we'll notice here, if we do our factoring, we want something that multiplies to 2500 and adds to negative 100, which means we're going to have two negative numbers. And in fact, what you get here is negative 50 and negative 50. You do negative 50 plus negative 50, you get negative 100, and negative 50 times negative 50, you get positive 2500. So this is actually going to factor into x minus 50 and then squared, which is greater than 0. Now when is this true? This is true everywhere except for one place, which is if x is equal to 50, we get this being 50 minus 50 squared, which is 0, and 0 is not greater than 0. So we know x cannot be equal to 50, but it can be equal to anything else. Now then you might be tempted to say that there are infinitely many integers, but remember we know that x is greater than 40 and x is less than 60. So that means we need all of the integers in this range except for 50, which means we do 41 through 49, and then we skip 50 and do 51 through 59. We don't consider 40 or 60 because 40 is not greater than 40 and 60 is not less than 60. So 41 to 49, that's going to be 9 integers. And 51 to 59 will also be 9 integers. So the total number of positive integers where this inequality is satisfied is 9 plus 9, which is 18 positive integers. And that is our answer.